So Mayor Eric Adams is hosting a pride celebration at Gracie Mansion tonight, but 5 of the city's largest LGBTQ groups are boycotting the event.
And that's not the only event coming under fire. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who signed the so-called Don't Say Gay bill, will be speaking at a conference at Chelsea Piers this weekend, which has gay rights activists up in arms. Joining us this morning is Amanda Babine. She's the executive director of Equality New York, who has a lot to say about both of these events. So Amanda, good morning to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's begin first with tonight's event at Gracie Mansion, right? 5 of the largest LGBTQ rights groups are boycotting the event. Do you plan on protesting outside the festivities, and what's the reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're actually, we decided that we are going to be picking a different location. So we'll be meeting at the Stonewall Inn, which I'm sure you know is a very historic site in New York City. We'll be bringing together probably a few hundred people, and we have a list of demands for the mayor. The mayor has been in for a while now, and there's been a lack of, I guess, focus on the LGBTQ community. And so we're really wanting to make sure to use this time to ask him and his, administration to be doing a little bit more for us. As most people know, he appointed 2 homophobic individuals over the last few months, and has not necessarily put together a plan to serve LGBTQ New Yorkers. And we really want to make sure we're putting his feet to the fire, and we're seeing that. And so we're going to be boycotting in front of the Stonewall Inn with a list of demands to make sure that he is, thinking about us as a community.
And you're receiving a lot of support, but what do you say to the gay rights advocates who've decided that they will attend tonight's festivities? And I believe the organizers from New York's Gay Pride Parade are expected to be there.
Yeah, I think that everyone has their own ideology and their own way of doing, politics and work. And I think, if people would like to go there, that's totally fine. However, I imagine we're going to have a larger group on our end.
Reps for Mayor Adams say that he is committed, right, to supporting the LGBTQ plus community. He was at the Queen's Pride Parade this past weekend. He's preparing to make several announcements to that effect later this month. The details of that are slim here, but what's your reaction to all of that?
Yeah, I think similar to yours, it's slim. We don't know yet, right? We've been waiting for something. Often a lot of politicians will use Pride as a time to, pull out new initiatives. However, we've been waiting for months now. Again, the amount of information that we're given from the mayor's office is very slim. There's not a ton of it. So, until we see what those promises are, we're going to continue to put, again, his feet to the fire and make sure that he knows that we need more attention.
He has met with several groups, though, right, that are boycotting tonight's event. Has he met with Equality New York?
He has not met with us, but he has met with a few of the other organizations. Equality New York actually hosted a very large rally against him a few months ago in response to the 2 homophobic individuals. So I'm not sure if they're necessarily reaching out to us at the moment, but we are here. We're ready to work with the mayor if he's willing to. But again, in coalition with Stonewall and LID and the Queens Democratic LGBT Club, we're all trying to make sure that we're getting some information from them.
All right, so that's what's going on with the mayor's office. But gay rights supporters are also calling on Chelsea Piers to take action and cancel a speech by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, they issued this statement saying Pier 60 has never discriminated against any group of organizers, but have we ever based on our acceptance of a booking contingent on our approval of the speakers. Our accepting a booking in no way implies that we endorse the respective organization or its speakers. That is from the Chelsea Piers group. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think the hard piece is Chelsea Piers is actually a very normally LGBTQ friendly venue. A lot of the largest galas are held there. There's the Gay Hockey League. There's many different things that Chelsea Piers does support. It's very, very sad to see that, we're going to have someone who's so hateful towards, our community coming to speak at that. I think it's both on Chelsea Piers and it's on the organization that is obviously bringing him here, right, which is the Jewish Leadership Conference. And so both of those groups, it's really disappointing to see them, hosting here in New York City. Again, people come from all over the world. all over the country for refuge. And to see people like this coming to speak is really disappointing. I will say also that originally the New York City Jewish Heritage Museum was supposed to be where the speakers were going, and they actually banned it because of the speaker. So, there are opportunities for people, and venues and organizations to make the right decision. And so we're disappointed in Chelsea Piers.
Did you reach out to the organization, though, that Jewish group that is holding that event?
Yes, there has been no response at all.
All right, so that's what's happening on all those fronts with the controversies and some of the things that you're protesting. But what are your I do want to end on a slightly positive note on everything happening during Pride Month here in New York City. Once again, happening at a time 2 years after COVID's kind of started, seeing people back out there on the streets.
Yeah, no, I think, Pride, especially in New York City, one of the largest prides in the world, we're excited to see people come out, always reminding people that, Pride was a protest, so we'll still continue to do a lot of that work, but we'll also celebrate a lot of the wins that we've had, especially over COVID. We passed a lot of legislation, and now we're able to be kind of in one place together besides just on Zoom, so we're excited for that.
Yeah, there has been a lot of progress. Amanda Babine, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And happy Pride Month.
Thank you.